Welcome back to another episode of Desire to Inspire. It's your boy Freddie here with Dylan. Feel like it's been forever, brother.
It has been forever, dude. And I look like I'm out here calling plays from the sideline. It's not a good look for me, but we're here.
Hey, I knew that you weren't going to be in your proper setup, so I was like, you know what? Let me do something different today. Let me put this at my standing desk and see how we like this, if it's a little more comfortable or not.
You think it'd be more comfortable? Actually, I feel like you might have a better conversation standing up, though. Because, like, sometimes on the podcast, I'll be, like, in the couch too much, and I'm like, okay, I need to get out of this area. But it's the only spot I got. Even this chair feels more, like a more alert, not so chill.
Yeah, when I get a house or, like, a townhome next, where I'm going to be there for more than a year and actually have some things I can do to it, I'm going to have the studio where it's standing instead of sitting. I love how Pat McAfee stands at his while he hosts his. And so that's kind of what I want to do, because I feel like
I've never watched. How long are his?
Like, I don't know. I think they vary.
For hours?
I usually only watch when Aaron Rodgers is on.
That's a long conversation. It's not like he's on for 20 minutes. You don't get Aaron Rodgers for 20 minutes. So he's just standing for hours on end?
Yeah. He has like a chair that he'll pull up, and he might like kneel on it for a little bit, but he'll stand up, and he usually does most of the show standing up.
I might have to give it a shot. Now I'm curious.
Yeah, I like it. It's a little more free flowing. You can see my new shop vac that I just got right here. Really pumped about it.
Sick, dude. I know you were asking if this is my childhood room because of these toys, but those are actually my dad's.
I don't know what's worse, Berkey's collection or your dad collecting them, but, I'll support both of them.
My dad has them all over the living room. It's not like just hidden here in this office. They're like on the entertainment center. They're everywhere, man.
Oh, good for him.
Good for him.
So,
oh man,
how's Ohio? How was the drive there? Are you looking forward to the drive home?
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm looking forward to it. The drive here was not bad for me per se, because I strategically placed myself in the first half of the drive, and now Dami caught on, and she will be making it very split up now in like 3 or 4 hour increments because she was dying for the last half.
Hey, you did it for a good reason, though. Since she does night shift, you were like, hey, you can take over.
Yeah, I thought we'd be good. How was your trip, man? That's what I really want to talk about.
It was good. It was, as I've told everyone, and Lauren is probably sick of hearing it, but I left that trip a better man than I went on it, because going outside of the country and seeing the things we saw just really put a perspective to life and how blessed we are to have the things we do and be able to do the things that we can. And so it was really eye-opening. Wrote a newsletter about it this week. So excited for people to hopefully like tune into this to kind of hear more about it, and just the importance too of like going away and disconnecting while still staying focused and on your like regimen.
Mm-hmm. How was that? Were you able to like stay in shit pretty easily? Yeah,
they had a really nice, I think everybody knows, but if you don't, I went on a 7-day cruise to Central America. First 2 days were at sea. Third day we stopped in Honduras, and then we went to Cosamaya and Cozumel. And then we had another day and a half at sea to go back to Galveston, Texas. And first thing we did when we got on the boat, unpacked our stuff, put all of our shit away. So that way it was almost as if like we were living there, hung everything up, put stuff in the drawers, which I usually don't do on a vacation because they're so quick. And from there, we went and explored the boat. And dude, it was literally a floating city. I mean, there's no way you can physically or possibly get bored on a ship unless like you force yourself to, because there's always something going on. There's always a game show, a themed night, a casino, a pool, whatever you want. Like it's there. And they had a full-size gym. And outside of the gym, they had protein smoothies, they had creatine, they had
oh hell yeah,
granola bars, like yeah, literally like homemade smoothies as well with like actual fruit that they're putting in. And so it was good because I stayed on track. I worked out every single day except for 2, but I was on there a week. So I only work out 5 days a week when I'm home anyways. So instead of taking my rest day on a Saturday, there might have been like a Wednesday that I took it on instead, just because everything going on when we actually got to get off of the ship. But yeah, I stayed dialed in, I stayed focused, and we made it a conscious effort to like kind of stay in our groove. So there was only one night where I think we weren't in bed, or I wasn't in bed by 10:30. Like, you wake up, and from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, there's something to do. And so by
Mm-hmm.
like 9:30, 10, you would really only stay out just to get like fucked up, listening to the music, the bands, the comedy shows. And so we were in bed majority of the time by like 10 o'clock. And so we would wake up at 6, go and get our coffee at the little coffee shop, walk the boat. They had a track that went, and if you went around it 2 times, it was a mile. That's how fucking big this boat was.
Damn.
And so it was really dope, and it showed me that you can stay dialed in, even with all of those things at your fingertips to like kind of pull you away. It's just what you prioritize and how you structure your day, knowing what you have coming up.
That was your whole trip recap?
Oh no, I got more. I just thought you might chime in here and there, so that way I'm not.
I was just listening.
Oh,
I mean, I obviously I caught a lot of it because I edited your newsletter last night, so
yeah.
caught a lot.
Yeah, but outside of like staying in the regiment or staying on top of things in that sense, like visiting the other countries, Honduras was the one that stuck out to me the most, because we went there.
I feel like I should probably know, but I don't know geography.
Somewhere in Central America. That's really far away. It's further than Mexico.
That's what I was looking for. Central America. That's what I was looking for.
Yep. So it's an island that's not very big. I think they said it was like, I think you could get around it like within an hour or 2 hours or something like that. So like you could drive around the whole thing and it wouldn't be that long. From my memory, that could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. But you pull up to this dock, and one, it is insane when you get off of the boat and you can actually like look back and see how fucking big it is compared to the other cruise ships, because there's other ones docked there for their ports, and it's beautiful
for the poor
water.
People.
I would say we were on one of the nicest ones. And so you get off of the boat, and all you're seeing is crystal clear blue water everywhere. You're seeing the port amenities that they have built up, that the locals are like, oh, they're greeting everybody, welcoming them. And then while you're on the boat, you can see like the landscape of the island. So the trees and the architect, like of the actual infrastructure of how the country's laid out, in terms of nature wise. And then once you enter in to the port area where they have the shops, restaurants, and things like that, you'll get in your line for whatever excursion you're doing. And so in Honduras, we got to see monkeys, hold sloths, baby sloths, see guinea pigs, and we got to, what was the last part of it? That might have been it. Oh, and then we got to go to this one area and see like all these iguanas. And so you're driving there, bro, and it literally like people are hang drying their clothes. They don't have like electric. They don't have running water. They have water, like a ton of water jugs outside of their house. You can see like the trash just piled up, and there were like rivers and streams and things like that, because they don't have the infrastructure where they have garbage trucks come around like we do. And it was really cool because like our tour guide, Sheila, who was awesome, we ended up going to lunch with her, taking her to lunch afterwards, which I'll explain that on the back half of the Honduras trip later. But when we were there, we were just driving around, and you see all these people, and like they're building buildings in flip-flops and shorts, no shirts on, carrying buckets on their head, up ladders that are literally made out of like wood. They're not even metal ladders. Their scaffolding is also like wood planks, just like maneuvered so that way they could do like the first floor, and then they would like go up, not ours,
That's
where they're
fucking
stacked
crazy.
like 20 stories high. Yeah, bro, it was insane. Their rebar for their buildings that they put like cement around or whatever they use was like half of the size of the rebar that we use here in the US, and they hold it together. So if like they had 4 posts of rebar, they hold it together with ropes, like just a knitted rope. And so that's how they keep the structure in place, so that way they can funnel all of the cement up to be able to build these buildings. And it was just wild. Like there's no fast food joints. The only one that was like in our line of sight or like new to the island was a Wendy's. And Sheila had told us that everybody was going crazy over the Wendy's because it was the first one on the island. And so you're driving to this destination and people are walking everywhere or driving like moped scooter type things and weaving in and out of traffic. They don't have like what seemed as if would be like jaywalking or anything like that. Like people are just weaving in and out when they can. They're going their own way. And so it's just wild to see that kind of life where it's not as developed as like the US is right now in terms of like everything, infrastructure, running water, how the buildings are being built, what buildings they have, the opportunities that are there. And so we're driving and Sheila's giving us all of this information about the island and telling us all these different things. And the big bridge on the island is literally a bridge that's like probably the length of my body. Like if I were to lay down, that's how big their big bridge is that goes over this river that was once washed out. And so everything is super little bridge.
Oh yeah, that's what I meant.
But it just like showed you like to us, they don't have a lot because of like how fortunate we are to have all of this stuff in the US, but they're so fucking happy.
They don't complain, bro.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's
what I was going to say. Like these people aren't complaining. They're happy as hell.
Happy as hell, bro. And even if there's something bothering them, like they have a good outlook on it of why it's going to get better, what they're going to do to get better. Like Sheila was telling us she's lucky to work 1 day a week for the cruise line. And she said that she walks 45 minutes to work and was telling us about like her sons and everything. And one of her sons right now is like putting himself through their college there to be a surgeon. And so my uncle is a surgeon, as we know, and he was talking to her and just asking like, what does schooling look like for him? And the US, we go to school for 4 years, get our undergrad, then we do this, and we do this. What does it look like for your son? So she's having a conversation with my uncle and she's just so happy. She's beaming of joy that her son is going and achieving this and accomplishing it. She's happy that she walks 45 minutes of work. She's like, I get to do this great thing. Like, look at, I'm having lunch with you guys, doing this, doing that. And she was like, I get to show you my homeland and it makes me happy. And like, she could have easily been like, it would be nice to work 3 days a week or 4 days a week to get more. No, bro. She was happy with the 1 day because
or
she
like have a ride to work or like any of it.
Yep. Yeah. And so she took us to, after we went and did the iguanas and everything like that, we're driving back and she's like letting us know more about the island. And there were some people on the tour with us that were making like really derogatory comments and like just saying things like, oh, it doesn't look like they have trash pickup around here. I wonder if Amazon Prime delivers out here. Like just making comments that it's like, dude, fuck off. Like it shows you how privileged we fucking are in the USA to go to another country that like is happy because they have a fucking Wendy's coming there for the first time and people making those type of comments. And bro, they were old. They were like 75 plus.
That's usually the ones who are doing it.
It really upset me. It took a lot not to say something because even though Sheila didn't show like she heard the comments or was acknowledging them,
she had to.
Yeah, exactly. And so
which also says more about them. Like that says more about them for like her being able to like just keep her cool, not even acknowledge it. Like she's like, whatever, like it's just part of it, I guess. Which it shouldn't be, but I mean, she's still living life happily.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, like it was, I don't know if I wouldn't say scary, but maybe intimidating because like they're police officers. They're standing on the side of the road. They got a fucking AR right here. They got a Glock on their side. They got a shotgun on their back. They got a belt full of clips. And so somebody asked a comment like, why are all of the police standing outside of these certain shops or something like that? And she's like, oh, those are all of our banks. And she's like, nobody robs the banks here. Nobody has ever robbed the banks here. They know that the banks are off limits. And so like they protect it. But like being out here, like we don't really have cops just standing armed guard at buildings. And so that was a little eerie. And so as we're seeing all of this stuff and we go and we do this great excursion, feeding the iguanas, seeing the sloths, the monkeys, we were driving back and we pulled into the port, which is a gated off area, separate, I guess you could say. It's on the island, but separate from the island. You have to have certain badges to get in and out of it. And right outside of that is a bunch of locals that have signs like, we'll take you here, this much money, that much money. And so Sheila's like, when we get back in, anybody that wants to go to a restaurant and get lunch with me, let me know and I'll take you. Because we had asked, is there anywhere local that we could eat? They were talking about how they eat iguana and all this stuff. And we're like, you eat these things? And she was like, oh, they're so good, this and that. So we get back and Sheila's like, does anybody want to go to lunch? I'll take you to the restaurant. And we're like, hell yeah. Like, we're maybe only going to be here once. Like, let's do it. Let's see.
I'll eat an iguana. Let's do it.
Yeah. Let's see what their food's like. And so it was our group. And then there was this guy and girl, probably Lo and I's age, if not like slightly older, that just got married. And they came to lunch with us. And we exit the port area that I was telling you have to have the badge. And we're out in the local area with all of the locals that are walking around asking for this, asking for that. And it was a little intimidating.
It's just so different, bro. I've been there too. It's just such like a different feeling. Like you're like, first of all, like they aren't going to speak my language. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, even if something happens, like, what am I going to do here? Like, I'm kind of, you don't have service. Like, you're just hoping for the best.
Yeah. And so we're walking there and, thinking the whole time, like, it's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. Then a truck drives by where they got like a guy in the back of it just strapped up with a gun. And I'm like, oh my God. But it was like their law enforcement. And so we're walking past all these different shops and obviously, naturally, like eyes are gleaming on us because we are very out of the picture.
You're different.
Yeah. And so it was probably a 6 or 8 minute walk to this restaurant and we get up to it. And there's a whole bunch of tourists on the walk there was like none. So we were like, holy fuck, are we like going to an okay area? And then we pulled up and it was a big tourist spot, but it was like local and they had iguana, they had fish that they caught, they had shrimp, like all of these different meals. So
what part of the iguana do they eat?
I think majority of it, but there was a lot of pieces of the tail and like, they just take it, bro. And I probably would have it was good. I'm not going to lie. It was good. Really good texture, really good taste, a little greasy.
You just eat it plain?
Or
is it like an iguana dipping sauce?
No, plain. And it comes and it's juicy.
I would never picture an iguana being juicy. Ever.
Yeah, it's like it's like picture a chicken texture. That was the texture of it.
Everybody says everything tastes like chicken, bro. That's just an easy one.
It really was, though. I would say it had a little bit more flavor than what chicken can hold, and I don't know if it's the way they season it or not. But, like, bro, we had just come from an iguana farm. And when I tell you iguanas were everywhere, they were everywhere, bro. And we're feeding them, and we're looking at them. We see iguanas this big. We see iguanas bigger than me, like 6 foot long. They had one. We didn't see that one, but they had them there. And so I'm like, okay, these things look like little fucking dinosaurs. And next thing you know, there's one in front of me on the table. And they just take the tail and skin, bones, everything. And so, like, you can see it. And, like, they eat the skin. And I'm literally looking at it like, I am picturing all of these ugly little creatures that we just fed back at the last spot. And so it made it a little uneasy for me to eat. And it was funny because at the end
Did everyone in your group eat it?
Everybody tried it. 5 of us with the other 2 that had joined us, including Sheila. So 3 other people, 5 of us had gotten the iguana. We got the shrimp. We got the fish. My uncle got a ceviche. So we had like a plethora to be able to try like all of their local dishes. And then we also got, I got to look for this picture because it's going to drive me crazy. It was their local beer. And I believe Sheila said that the name was Life's Good or Good Life or something like that. And it was really good. Here it is. It was called Salavida. But it was a really good like light beer. That's a Honduras staple, I guess. And so she's like, get the Salavida, Life's Good, this and that. I was like, okay. And so at the end, when we're done with lunch, the server comes over. He goes, come on, man, you still got all this food on your plate. And I'm like, if you know me, you know that I hate any little bit of fat. I can't stand bones. I can't stand skin unless it's like super crispy. And this skin was not crispy at all. And so like I have this massive pile of bones with still like the iguana meat and the skin all piled up. And you look at Sheila's plate and it's just like little tiny bones, no meat, no skin, no nothing. He's like, there's still so much on your plate, man. You got to eat it. I was like, I can't do that.
You eat
So
chicken wings?
I do, but like I'm pretty funky about chicken wings too. So if you notice, whenever we
Never
go
do this
out,
about you.
I always have to ask for my chicken wings like double baked or well done because I can't stand if they're a little bit like slimy. So yeah, weird little things
Bro,
that you'll start
iguanas must be
noticing.
like a Central American thing. Because, like, when we were in Costa Rica, they're just crawling by the pool. Like, my mom had to get out because I was swimming up by her. Like, that is a wild thing to just be out and about. And they're way fucking faster than I would have ever expected them to be.
Yeah, and they
They
run
just
like
move so awkwardly.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're like wide body stance when they run.
Yeah. For real. They're like the dudes who fucking puff it out and just can't even walk through doors. That's like an iguana.
Yep. But it was really cool to experience that after like we got there and we settled in. And I say we, there was only a few of us, mainly me, that was like uptight. Nobody else really like stressed it. Everyone's like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. But my like guard was up just like, are we good? But once we got there and like Sheila was telling us more about like Honduras and, you know, her lifestyle and all that kind of stuff, it became more comfortable. And you just saw again how appreciative people are because we have to remember, I say you have to remember, but like me telling this story that the people that come in on those cruise ships or the people that are flying in on a plane to visit there single-handedly like help fund that island, that country to survive. That's how these people have jobs. That's how these people have businesses. And so when we come from the US, it's not like, oh, they're not from here, this and that. It's like, no, come see our place, eat our food, try this, look at this. Because they value what we bring, and that's to be able to have them live the lifestyle they do in terms of having a job, work, all of that kind of stuff. And so it was cool to learn about that at lunch and hear her tell her stories and where I was going with her son that's in medical school. At the end of it, my uncle wrote down his email and he gave it to Sheila and he was like, hey, have your son get a hold of me whenever he progresses more, if he has any questions, this and that. And so I just hope that she realizes, and my aunt also said on the trip that we hope that she realizes what an opportunity that is, that my uncle did give his contact information, because like, bro, that could change his family's like trajectory, hierarchy, or whatever you want to call it. And so I hope we hear from him, not only for that, but like hopefully to like host Sheila if she ever wants to come to the States. She's been there one time with her dad when she was really young. But we have I call her family now. She's over in China and she was a foreign exchange student when my aunt was in school, and she'll come over to the States from China and she'll stay with us. And she calls my granny and granddad mom and dad. She calls my mom her sister because she stayed with them for, I think, like all of high school or something like that.
Damn.
And so it'd be cool just to have Sheila come over and have her see how we live and like show her, you know, around our area and stuff like that. So again, it was eye-opening because I never got to experience that before. So I'm not trying to talk as if like this is some new found phenomenon I found, but to me it was all foreign. Like I would see videos and movies and stuff like that where they're driving through these villages or towns. But again, that was all movies and videos and stuff. So it never was like a reality where I could see it. And so yeah, I literally I was like, damn, I kind of feel like I'm in a movie driving through this like village and stuff. Like it was a wild experience.
And there's a ton of people even here like who have never and will never experience that. I mean, that was your mom's first time going. Like, so like there's people who will just never experience stuff like that. That's why like I'm always looking to go somewhere new and just like experience different cultures and shit, man. I love it.
Yeah, I might be having a trip booked for my birthday here soon, but I'm not going to speak on that yet. I will let you know when that gets closer if it happens.
I'm actually talking about doing one early next year for my 30th, so I'll let you know.
There we go. Yeah, after we went to Honduras, the next day we woke up in Cosamaya, and then the next day was Cozumel, and both of those were also really cool because, again, you see the blue water from like pictures and stuff, and growing up on Lake Erie, you're like, there's no fucking way water can be that blue. It's that blue. if not bluer. I got some really dope videos and pictures of
Oh
like
yeah.
the boat even pulling away from the port and how like clear that water was. But there was also like a funny story as well when we were in Mexico. We went for a Jeep excursion and we get there and my aunt was like, Freddie, we got a Jeep excursion one day. If you don't know, I love Jeeps. I have a Jeep. I will always have a Jeep. And I was like,
Oh,
oh,
they
hell yeah,
know
that'll be
it's in
fun.
your background for the podcast. It's the bench you sit on.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. People love that bench. I've been getting a lot of comments and DMs about it. But while we were in Mexico, we got in line for the Jeep excursion. And my thought was, we're going to go on this Jeep excursion. They're going to be automatic Jeeps. We're not going to have to worry about anything. They were not. They were manual. And my aunt had put down that myself and my uncle were going to be the ones driving them. So it was going to be me, Lo, and my cousins, and then my mom, Ed, and my aunt, uncle, and the other one. So we get there and we're standing in line, and I think his name was his name wasn't. This is going to sound really bad, but I think his name was Jose. And I hope that I'm not just thinking that. But Jose comes up and he goes, all right, who's driving? And my aunt's like, he's driving and so is he. And he's like, all right, you know how to drive stick, buddy? And I'm like,
sure.
What? And the guy's like, do you know how to drive stick? And I look at my aunt. She's like, yeah, you know how to drive stick. And I was like, yeah, I know how to drive stick. And she goes, you know how to drive stick? Haven't you drove it before? And I was like, yeah, I've drove it before. It's just been a long time. He goes, you know how to drive, but it's been a long time? I was like, yeah. He's like, okay, you'll be fine. He's like, you'll pick it up. But if you can't drive stick, then we can't go on the excursion. So what we're going to do, he looks at my uncle and goes, sir, you know how to drive stick? Yep. Cool. What we're going to do is go on a little trail. We're going to do a little loop, 2 minutes. If you get it, good. If not, we can't do the excursion. I'm like, all right. So we get
That's a lot of pressure, bro.
I know, because it's not like right when we got off the boat, the excursion was there. Like we got onto a Greyhound bus and it drove us 10 minutes, 12 minutes down the road to wherever the Jeep excursion was. And so we get there and he goes, okay, he goes, this is my Jeep. Points to another family. He goes, this is going to be your Jeep. You know how to drive stick? And the guy's like, yeah, I got this. And he seems super confident. I was like, fuck, I'm fucked. And so he goes, you're going to be in this Jeep, and then he's going to follow since he's very confident. I was like, okay, talking about my uncle. So the guy's talking to the family in front of us. They're in their Jeep already. And he leaves from telling them whatever they're going to tell him, and he's coming back to us. And I'm sitting there, and my leg is literally just trembling, bro, on the fucking clutch. And he comes up to me, and he goes, okay, buddy. And you just see the Jeep in front of us. The guy started it, not realizing that it was in gear, just smacks into the tour guide's Jeep in front of it. And he looks up and he goes, don't do that. And so he goes, go ahead and start the Jeep, make sure it's not.
At least he lowered the bar.
Yeah, exactly. In my head, I was like, all right, I just have to do better than that guy, and I think I can.
That was the confident guy?
Yeah. Bro, if you know Jeeps, the newer ones, these are probably like 2016 Jeeps, 15. And they have like plastic bumpers that are like hollow. And so he smacked that, and that corner of the Jeep just like crumbled and it was indented. Damn. And so in my head, I was like, all right, I got this. I won't be as bad as him. And so he was like, all right, this is what you're going to do. He's like, I want you to pull up to that rock right there and then stop. I was like, okay. Pull up to the rock, and I stopped. And earlier he told us, he's like, we won't be going in reverse. If you need reverse, I'll push you. And so we all laugh, and I see him in my rear view. He goes, all right, back up. I'm like, oh, fuck. So I put it in reverse, and I start going and instantly stall. And I was like, God damn it. And he comes up. He goes, that's okay, buddy. That's why we don't go in reverse. These Jeeps are hard to do it in. He goes, I'm going to leave. That Jeep's going to leave. You follow that Jeep, and then your uncle will be behind you. And I was like, all right. And so I am terrified because now we're going out onto their like actual roads that their vehicles are driving on. And we do the little trail, and I fucking passed it flying colors, didn't stall. And so we pull out, and
that's all that matters.
He's like, we're going to turn left here and then just follow me the rest of it. We're like, all right. So he goes, the guy in front of me has to wait for a car to pass. He goes, and then I go to pull up, instantly stall it. And I'm like, fuck. And at this point, I'm just like quivering. I'm so fucking nervous. So Ed is doing an amazing job talking me through it. Do this, do that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, it's starting to come back to me. And I'll get to my Jeep experience driving stick in a second. So I'm like, all right, start the Jeep back up, put in neutral, put in first. I start going and my fucking uncle's behind me just laying on his horn. I'm like, this motherfucker. I was like, what's he think? I'm just sitting here for the fun of it? And so we start driving and we're going through like their village or town. And he was like, if the locals come up to you, keep driving. Don't drive too fast. Don't stop, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my fucking God. So I'm driving through here where we have to keep slowing down, speeding up. So I got to use the clutch, gas, brake, all of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to fucking stall. And so long story short, we get to the end of it, which was like 45 minutes long. And we thought that we were going to park there, go to the beach, enjoy the beach, and then drive back. And he goes, okay. He talks to the guy in front of me that hit him for a while. He comes back. He goes, you did it, buddy. Good job. Fist pumps me. Goes and talks to my uncle for a while. And then he walks up and I'm getting ready to get out. I was like, all right, we getting out here? He goes, oh no, we're going back now, but faster because we know the trail. And I'm like, oh my fucking God. So we get back in the Jeep and we go. And I did fine. I only stalled that first time right in the beginning. And then one other time in like the middle of the road, but did fine. And we get
Why
back.
did he talk to everyone else so much longer than you?
I still have no idea what he told them. I have no idea. He just gave me a fist bump and was like, good job, buddy. Goes and talks to them and then gets back in the Jeep.
He didn't want to make you nervous, whatever he said.
And we were flying back, like compared to what we were in the beginning. In the beginning, it was like you're going over these bumps and you're like fucking feeling them. And then way back, we're like, boom, 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 just fucking flying everywhere. And so we get back to this area where they have like a bunch of their local shops. They got like fake designer bags, like all that kind of stuff. And that's where we were going to eat lunch, have some cervezas, have a tequila tasting, and then go in the water. And it was a topless beach. Got a funny story about that too. I'll send you a picture. And so
I'll pop it up right here, guys.
And so we are at this area and he's just like letting us know what lunch is going to look like, this and that. Had amazing fajita tacos. They were really good. Got some Coronas. The girls got some margaritas. We're in the water. We're having a good time. And then he was like, all right, come up here for the tequila tasting. So they had a local distillery that was telling us all about tequila. We have Blanco and Reposado in the States. That's what's popular, this and that. When you get out of the States and you actually get good tequila, this is how you drink it. They're explaining how you drink tequila, the taste. They're like, it's not that burn. It's not that nasty face you make. And so they said the darker the tequila, the better. And I'm like, really? And so they pull out these bottles, bro. And it was like the darkest one was darker than whiskey. And then like, it was like a little bit lighter whiskey color, a little bit lighter whiskey color. And then the Reposado and Blanco that we're used to, like Patron or Don Julio.
Yeah.
So we're drinking them and they're fantastic. And she's letting us know, like, if you want this bottle, which was their third most expensive, she was like, it would compare to a Patron something. I forget the name of it. And she goes, our bottles are say $260 for this one. Patron's is like $540 in the States. And she goes, and you won't get, any better deal than that Patron bottle or a better like tequila really. Because they don't use 99% blue agave or something like that. So we're trying them all, and my family ended up buying some. Lo and I literally didn't even have a pound combined in our suitcase to bring anything back.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to get one, but we didn't. But their bottles went all the way up to like $600. And so we were trying the tequila, and this is where the funny part of the story comes in. So after the tequila tasting, it was like, all right, we got 10 minutes and we're going to leave. So as I told you, shuttle bus, a big ass Greyhound, took us to this destination to get the Jeeps. While we were there, only my uncle and I were allowed to drive. Nobody else, because nobody else had their license. So Ed was like, if he can't do it, I'll drive. I know how to drive stick. No, sir. Can't have you drive. You don't have your license. So not only did we eat fajita tacos, not only did we have beers and margaritas, we had a tequila tasting, and then we got to explore the shops. So after we get the tequila in us, we're feeling good. They're hitting. He goes, all right, let's go.
And we're drive back.
We're like, all right. So we're looking at the stores and we end up walking back over to where the Jeeps were because that's where the Greyhound was. And so he's like, we would really like it if you guys gave us a good review. It helps a lot with the cruise, the excursion, all this stuff. COVID happened, all these things about like not much money coming in. So the good comments go a lot further than you think. So we're like, yeah, we'll give you great scores. We all fill it out. He goes, all right, hop in, let's go back. And we're like, what? We're taking the Jeeps back? He goes, yeah. And prior to that, when we were like, oh, so we're going to stop halfway, have the tequila tasting that, he's like, no drinking and driving. You have tequila after. And we're like, okay. And so we all get in the Jeeps. And I'm like, where the fuck's Ed? And my mom's like, where's Ed? Her and Lower in the backseat of the Jeep. And she goes, are we really driving back? Like, we just drank tequila. My cousin Harrison is definitely feeling himself. And he's like, I can't drive back. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, Jesus. And so we're like, where's Ed? So Ed's up in the instructor's Jeep. And I was like, Ed, wrong Jeep. And he's in the driver's seat. I was like, Ed, come back to our Jeep. We're in the white one still. And he was like, no, the instructor asked me to drive this one back. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, go back there, get the girls back, and I'll see you there. I was like, all right. So the instructor jumps into this red truck. Then he's got Ed, that one family, me, and then Joey behind us. After this tequila tasting, we get back to the port to like get onto the boat. And we all start dying laughing because not only was Ed not allowed to drive, but I told my mom, I was like, this is the most Mexico shit because they feed us tequila, they feed us cervezas, and they're like, all right, let's get in the cars and drive back to your destination. Wild. And so
how far of a drive was it?
It was like 12 minutes probably.
12 minutes after some drinks when you know where you're going is kind of sketch.
Yeah. So I was like, God damn, but it was just so funny. It was like one of those memories that we'll always laugh about because it was like, no drinking and driving. And then at the end, when Ed couldn't even drive, he's like, oh, yeah, after some tequila and cervezas, go ahead, get a hydrate.
That is wild.
And he told Ed, he was like, just so you know, first and third gear in this Jeep don't work. So Ed's like, oh, what the fuck? So he had to use like second and fourth in order to get there.
Oh, my God. That's fucking dumb.
Yeah. But no, overall it was a good time. I mean, we had the moments of the trip where it was just like extreme gratitude, whatever you want to use, of like soaking it all in of what we saw through the day. But then there was the times where, we fucking laughed, we had a good time, we kind of forgot about the real world and what was going on out there. But if I could advise anybody to go on a cruise, it would be to go on a cruise and go on one of those royal ships that are part of the Allure of the Sea. The boat was so fucking big that like I felt twice, I think, on the boat, like, oh shit, we're on water. Other than that, it literally felt like we were on land the whole time. The staff was amazing. The food was amazing. The amenities were amazing. And too, like, don't go off of the stereotype of cruises. Like, I felt like when I was telling people I was going on a cruise, they were like, oh, a cruise. Kind of like they were like bottom tier like vacations or something like that. Dude, this was fucking phenomenal, and you didn't have to worry about.
You also
shit
went on like top tier cruise.
Yeah, I would advise not going on like Carnival or something like that. From what I heard,
I did a Carnival and it wasn't even that bad.
Okay, on the cruise ship, there was a lot of people that were dogging them, so I was like, I can't even chime in.
I told you they're for the poor people. That's why I went.
But yeah, so the moral of the story is do things you're scared of. Go after fucking adventures that might cost too much money or you don't have the funds for. Like, figure out a way to save up on it and go on the trips with the people that you love. Create the memories that last a lifetime, because you don't know what you'll take away from that could end up elevating you to a different avenue or a different lane in life, because of the things you saw or the people you met or the things you did. So yeah, start living in the moment and for the moment, because as we know, man, there's a lot of fucking things around us that just put it into perspective on how valuable this life is and how we really only do have one life to live. And so what are we going to do to make the most of it? And to make sure that we're continuing to always elevate and compound on the things that we're doing, because we're not always going to make the right decisions. We're not always going to make the right choices, and we're not always going to have the right like mindset around certain things. But sometimes take a step back, meditate, breathe, journal, whatever it is. So that way we can all focus to just keep remembering, like, we're here for a very finite amount of time and we can't get this shit back. And so make the memories with the people you love, because that shit is what makes life fun.
Oh yeah. I'm glad you had a good trip, man. Sure, I will talk more in depth on it. And I want to hear about this birthday trip you got coming up.
Yes, sir. I will inform you on that. We can cut this one dry or short, because I like definitely.
It ain't even short, bro. This is long for boys only.
You're right. 40 minutes long, baby. But yes, everybody, follow the email newsletter if you're not on there to stay up on what Dylan and I are writing about. I think that I know that there's a lot of value in there, and it's kind of the one of the areas I would feel like we're both super passionate about, along with this podcast, because we get to like put out messaging or stories or things that we're doing in a way that is kind of untraditional. It's almost like a newspaper or something like that, or the modern day newspaper. So follow that because there's a lot of good insight. But at the end of the day, just remember, create the memories with the people, friends, family that you have here right now, because when they're gone or when you're gone, life looks a whole lot different. So have the desire to inspire, kiss your mama's forehead, and call your
Peace.
granny. It's on.